if you sell a pen, right? Like everyone has a pen, but everyone's different. How are you gonna sell a pen to are you gonna try this out?
Sell me this pen.
No. I thought you were gonna try to sell me that pen. I know that trick.
Dion, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. When we first met, for a bit of background, it
Yeah.
was during a game of poker.
It was, yeah.
You were a big bluffer.
Well, at the beginning, it was a real fun game, right? And I started making moves, but yeah, after a while, I was like making some silly moves, and I was like, oh, fuck it, let's go.
But I think you did catch me out eventually. to be
Yeah,
fair.
yeah. I was leading for a bit, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I've got to get another game in soon.
Let's
but,
go. Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of immediately knew, right, this guy's got some stories to tell.
Right.
Certainly. So, yeah, I guess a good place to start would be, if you give us sort of a little bit of background and what are you doing here? I have a feeling your story is a bit different because you've already got some connections to Indonesia, right?
I'm Indonesian born and grew up in the US for a bit. And then went back to Indonesia, went to Canada, went back and studied in Germany for like 8 years.
Okay.
So I've never lived in one city more than 5 years. So it was an experience, like getting to know like a lot of cultures, you know. Yeah, that brought like a lot of insight for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, immediately you can see the benefit of that, right? That you're not just in your one box.
Yeah.
That's a big problem, I think, in the
Definitely.
UK, where
Yeah.
you're just, that's all you know. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's only when you start traveling you really start to broaden your horizons.
Exactly.
Did you ever find it quite difficult just having to move about all the time and not establish some form of real stability or
Like home
long-lasting-
base.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
even just like friendships and circles and that type of stuff.
No, actually, it was pretty nice. Like sometimes I get bored of one city and I'm like, all right, when am I gonna move? But no, I quickly adapt to people and places. So that's a big plus for me. And I'm always curious about new things and like finding out new cultures, like new food, and everything is cool for me, you know.
Yeah.
And even moving to Bali, Bali is I never thought that I would live in Bali. I thought it was just like a holiday place where you go to party. But after like trying out to live here for like 3 months, I think, and I was like, yeah, this could be a new spot for me, you know? Because like it has like a lot of Indonesian culture, but you got like a lot of people coming over from a lot of new places, and yeah, I think the balance of that is perfect for me, you know?
Yeah, and you can almost sort of dip and dive in between. If you want a bit of local
Yeah.
stuff, you speak the language, and
Exactly.
then if you want to go out and do more of some westernized stuff,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word. I
Yeah.
wonder what your upbringing was like then. Was it sort of traditional, like sort of Indonesian, or did you have a sort of Western influence already?
So in my family, we're very, I would say, conservative. Yeah, but my surroundings is always international, so that was kind of the balance. So when I go home, like it was just like Indonesian culture, but also a modern way of thinking. So yeah, that was quite nice.
Okay, yeah, and again, I guess it kind of meant when you went, what was the thinking behind going to the US? Was it just that was where you could make your dreams happen, or how did
Oh,
that
when I
come
was in the
about?
U.S., I was pretty young. I think I was 13. No, I think it was 10. Yeah, 10 until 13 or 14. But I was following around my dad because he worked in an international company, and that's why like we moved a lot, and it gave us the chance to be around the world, you know.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, and I wonder just going into the US. I think for a lot of people, 10 years old, new country, that would scare
Yeah.
them. Did you not feel that at all, or?
You know, it was pretty scary because when I went there, it was right after the plane crash, 2001. So it was a bit weird. I thought it was gonna be weird, but like the people in my school, they were like kind of chill about it. They didn't talk about any of those kind of things.
Okay.
And yeah,
So what date did you get there? What month did you get there?
I think it was 3 months after. I think it was Yeah, January or February, I think it was.
That is a weird time to go there.
It was pretty weird. Like it was pretty weird in the airport, but once we settled in, like went to school and got our apartment, it was pretty nice. It was pretty chill. Yeah.
Yeah, and I imagine actually around that time the country would have been very united
Yeah.
because this terrible shit has happened.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like the problem now is that it's almost the opposite. There's so much polarization and
Yeah.
divide.
Well, yeah, right now it's just pretty divided, huh? Like the politics and all that. But I don't know. Maybe I was a kid. I didn't really pay attention to the politics back then. But yeah, so it didn't really matter a lot to me.
Yeah, and did you find, obviously, yeah, adapting to that type of environment as well? Was it pretty easy? And if so, I'm intrigued to see sort of what influence your childhood had on you because, yeah, at the moment, yeah, you come across very sort of outgoing
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
Have you always been like that? Was that your parents' influence or?
I think it was an influence of me having grown up in a lot of places. So if I don't reach out to them, then it would be kind of boring, you know. So I would just try to like adapt to the people and saw what they were doing, and try to adapt that to my lifestyle. And I don't know, probably the thing that made me connect was music actually. Because, yeah, back then I was really into like pop punk and skate and all that. And yeah, found a niche group for that, and we hung out. And it was kind of international, even though it was in the US. Like I got some Korean friends from USA, and I had a friend from Pakistan. So yeah, it was all over the place, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, and it was music, do you think, that sort of bonded you with
Yeah,
everyone else?
definitely, definitely. I think it made it easier for us to talk, to have something to talk about, and yeah, just happened to be music, you know. Yeah,
There's something about that. I think it really does connect people.
Right.
I know I feel that way even with sort of electronic music, techno
Right.
music, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone sort of feels there is this emotion involved. And even if you go on YouTube, if you look at some really well played songs, songs that are pretty well known, you'll go into the comments and everyone's sort of all connected
Right,
because of this music. And
Yeah.
yeah, it makes such a big difference. I wonder then, yeah, in your instance, because usually it's sports or that type of
Right,
thing. Was
right.
did that ever interest you or?
I was always active. So when I was in the U.S., I played soccer, but in Canada, I tried like swimming, ice hockey, and yeah, I guess sports was something that made me connect with the people too, other
Yeah.
than music. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Have you kept that up? Because I feel like for me, yeah, it used to be football, and then I kind of took a break for a while because naturally I focused on my own stuff, like Thai boxing, jiu-jitsu,
Right, yeah.
and then I got the opportunity to play seven-a-side football, and I was like reconnected to my
Yeah,
childhood, and I was
yeah.
like, this is so much fun. I've missed.
Right.
I didn't realize how much I missed it
Yeah.
until I finally got to play again. I don't know if that's happened to you or you've had a similar feeling.
So when I went back to Indonesia from Germany, I found a American flag football. I don't know if you know that.
American flag.
Flag football.
Oh,
so
it was like,
yeah, it's like
as in
American,
American
football,
football.
but we don't use all the equipment. We just use like flags on our waist, and if you take that, you're down.
But you're still playing with a.
Yeah, it's the same ball, same rules, but,
But you
we just
get-
we just don't tackle.
Oh, so you have to nick the
Yeah,
person's
yeah, yeah,
flag
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah,
I've-
yeah.
I don't think we've ever. There used to be maybe a game at school, but it wasn't. I don't think it was football orientated. But I think there was something about you have to take an
Yeah.
item off the other person. Maybe it's like a Velcro or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. Okay. What? So there's American flag football. And where was this?
This was in Yogyakarta. It was 2016, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that fun?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't know a lot of people when I went back to Jogja, back to Indonesia, and it kind of that opened my connections a bit. And other than that, it was like some people in the restaurant industry, like in the coffee shop industry, that kind of we bonded over food a lot in that community as well. So I guess there's a lot of things that can connect you and make new friends, you know. In our case, it was poker, right?
It was. I wonder. Did you find it easier then, or harder to make friends back when you returned to Indonesia then? Like, what are the cultural differences there?
I wasn't really culturally shocked because when I was in Germany, I always went back to Indonesia for the summer holiday. Like every 2 years or every year, I was coming back to Indonesia. So it wasn't really a shock because I had my Indonesian background as well. So, that was quite easy, like going back here. Yeah.
Yeah, and do you think the culture is the same? Because I feel like in the US, perhaps UK, there's these similar themes that come up. Obviously, mental health's been a big one, and there's a lot of different sort of cultural shifts and that type of thing. Is it the same here in Indonesia, or are people a bit more, I don't know, grounded here? Because that's the impression I get outwards looking in, but I have no real idea.
Actually, what there's not a lot of cultural differences anymore since the internet, because we all watch the same thing, and we're connected through the internet, and probably the differences is just like the day-to-day activity. Back then in Germany, it was always like very structured, right? And in Indonesia or in Jogja when I was back, it was more laid back, right? Even in Indonesia, like in Jakarta and in Yogyakarta and in Bali, there's a lot of differences in cultures, Because
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I wonder because I spoke to an Indonesian girl who was actually dating someone from Germany, and she was saying, yeah, Bali's actually very, very different. I think it's a lot more liberal here, right?
yes, yes, I would say so. Yeah.
So people can wear their own T-shirts and have their own ways about thinking. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, I guess so. Because in Jogja, I think there's a lot of Muslim community, and in Bali, it's more international, and that's why like the mix of cultures in Bali is more universal than in Jogja.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's almost a Western influence on the
Yes.
locals as well.
Yeah, definitely.
That's interesting because I do see them. They do like their like oversized T-shirts and
Yeah,
that type of thing. It's almost like we've infiltrated
yeah,
it a
yeah.
bit. I wonder what the sort of locals' reaction is because a lot of people see what's happening in Bali and there's this whole sort of gentrification argument or they're getting rid of nature. I remember trying to ask one of the locals and she just said, "Oh, it's a shame because." But when I asked about the construction, her point of view wasn't about, oh, it's destroying nature. It was more like, oh, there's a lot of dust around, so you have to cover your mouth and your eyes. But I wonder do you have any insight into that, or do they not really discuss it?
No, not really. Like for right now, I've been in Bali for 2 years, and I think the gentrification, there's always pros and cons, right? I mean, there's a lot of money circulating around Bali, and that's good for the community as well, as long as we still respect the culture. As long as that's maintained, then I think there's no problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, makes sense. Okay, and then yeah, going back to yourself, I know you're in the beginning stages of building out your own company, right?
Yes, my restaurant. Yeah,
Restaurant,
yeah,
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 that's
yeah,
it.
yeah.
How's that? How far into it are you, and how's that process going?
I moved to Bali 2 years ago and stopped my construction company. That's what I did before. I did construction, and then I always wanted to have my own restaurant because when I was studying in Germany, I always worked in restaurants. And yeah, I guess I had a passion for food, and since then, I always wanted to have a restaurant. And the pandemic hit, and it was the right time, I guess, to start what I always wanted to do. So just packed my bags, went to Bali, and just like looking for opportunities to start a restaurant. Like how am I gonna go about it, and what kind of food that I want to do, and why I landed on barbecue is because that's what always united me and my friends. Like we always hang out around the barbecue. Even in Germany, like we had this tradition, like every first snow of the year we always take out our barbecue and just like grill during the winter, like in the first snow. So that was also a tradition for me and my friends. So I was like, yeah, I think barbecue is gonna be well received. And I guess we we don't have a lot of American barbecue in Bali, and yeah, that was interesting. and started doing pop-ups in the Sunday market in La Brisa, and people started to like it and keep on asking me like, "Are you gonna open? Are you gonna open?" And after a while, like, all right, yeah, let's do this. Let's find a spot and build a restaurant. And yeah, right now we're still building the place, and when it's done, yeah, we'll open up.
And you hadn't had any experience in the food sector before, apart from
Me?
just, yeah.
Yeah, I used to work part-time in kitchens a lot when I was in school in Germany.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I learned a lot about the logistics and a bit about the management. I started washing dishes the first time I was working there, but yeah, I showed my interest in cooking, and they started to put me in the line cook and doing salads and all that. And yeah,
Then you slowly sort of work your way
yeah,
up, getting more
exactly, exactly.
responsibility, that type of thing.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that where your passion for food started then, or was it before even then?
I think even before then, because I always wanted to have great food, but I was a young broke student, so I had to make my own great food. And yeah, it was a survival skill. And then I started like bringing my friends, like, yeah, let's come over and have dinner. And they started to like it. And yeah, I guess that's where it kind of popped up, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
awesome. I love how your just curiosity just
yeah.
led you to just keep on, and there's something admirable about that as well. Just going
Thank you, man.
out,
Yeah,
working at a even whether it's a young age or not, but just going out trying
right.
something right.
Yeah,
I feel like everyone just has to work in hospitality. I feel like that's just for everyone, just so you can
yeah, yeah.
understand the other side of it and all that people skills.
Right.
One other theme that comes up in the podcast to develop people skills is just through traveling,
Mm,
and we that's clearly benefited you as well. But I also think
definitely.
that hospitality aspect
Yes.
as well, whether it's the skills from interacting with customers or even just with your co-workers, and you learn all this.
Service. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, because I guess like dealing with customers, it's not always nice, but you get to appreciate like people working around you. Like they're giving their best, and sometimes they make mistakes, and just give them a bit of a leeway, and yeah, be polite about it, I guess. Right?
to teachers patience as well.
Patience. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a big one. I think empathy is something that I've always sort of had, but then it's something which you actually have to continue to work on because it's so
Right.
easy to just want shit done your way, and then it's like, come
Yeah.
on, you're supposed to do it, especially in hospitality, because you
Yeah.
do come across people who don't have that patience.
Mm.
I know
Mm.
a lot of
Mm.
people have had that where they've had this awful co-worker who's just
Yeah.
shouting at them, yelling at them.
Yeah, dealing with people, I guess, not just from the food industry, but also like across the different cultures, and just learning that people are different, and you kind of have to be able to see from both sides, you know? Yeah, and just be patient about it, I guess, and not everyone's having their best day all the time. So, that's also a thing that you gotta keep in mind also, you know? Yeah,
Yeah, not to take things personally too.
exactly. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
a problem with you. A lot of the time, they could have a million things going on in their
Exactly.
mind.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's a crucial one. For you, your upbringing shaped a lot of that, having to adapt quite quickly and make new friends in all these different environments. But then, even that, just going out, working, trying something. I always tell people if they're feeling a bit lost in life or that type of thing, just go out, work somewhere,
Mm.
just try anything. It doesn't have to
Mm-hmm.
be the thing, even though in your case it kind of and even that just sort of laid the foundation for you to go on and
Right.
you learn all these skills, and then you ended up thinking, right, okay, how can I bring this back to my home country, but then also just build something that I'm proud of and I'm in
Mm.
charge of.
Mm.
Have you always had that entrepreneurial itch, and where did that come from, running your own shit?
I never worked for anyone, man, actually.
And
Yeah, even since college. Well, in college, like doing part time, but after that, I always wanted to do my own stuff and not depend on anyone, and that's why I went back and started in the construction business. And even then, like that was my own thing, and there was ups and downs, of course. And sometimes you just like, oh man, should I just start working for someone? But no, it was just the dedication of like, no, I want to be on my own and do my own thing, and just kept on going even through the ups and downs.
Yeah, we'll get onto that.
Yeah,
But you say you started a construction business, right?
yeah.
Did you have any experience on that, or how did you even get started with that?
So I studied engineering. Yeah, there was. So I guess I brought the knowledge back to the construction business, and I had a couple of friends that are architects that I studied with together in Germany, and we just went back to Indonesia together and said like, yeah, what are we gonna do, you know? And then that started the conversation of like, all right, you design and I'll build, and that's when it went from there.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's a big lesson as well, because a lot of the time I think people have this mindset of, oh, I would. That's what other people can do. How could I start a business? I haven't got experience in this. But you just had a network of people and you sort of leveraged that, even though it
yeah,
sounds like it happened quite naturally.
yeah,
But again, it's just being aware. It's like if you didn't have that architectural knowledge, right?
right,
So it's like, so what? You can just find someone who has that
exactly.
knowledge and then build something together. And you're so young, so it's like, may as well give it a go, right?
Well, in my opinion, like being an entrepreneur is just like being able to see what's around you and how that can help you grow or benefit you, you know?
Just seeing the wider part, and I think even just delegation as well,
Exactly.
and being
Yeah.
aware that okay, you can't do everything.
No.
That's what my dad said was the best piece of advice he got
Yeah.
when building his business. It was, yeah, delegate, just delegate stuff, be aware of what you know, and if you can't do it, just get someone else to.
Being okay that you can't do everything on your own. That's a really hard lesson to learn, but yeah, at the first time I thought like yeah I could do everything on my own, but and I thought it was gonna be like more efficient financially, but actually it's not. Like if you help people and it's gonna come back to you and help you, and they're gonna help you as well.
Well, it's also just sort of makes sense, right? Because if you're delegating that, you're saving time, and
Yeah.
your time spent on the thing you're actually good
Yes.
at is going to return more results anyway.
Yeah, yeah,
That's an important one. I think it's just our tendency. Perhaps it's something to do with like the school system as well, because we're taught, okay, you have to figure this out by yourself. You can't just lean on somebody else for support. And I think that kind of gets put into our brain
yeah,
as
yeah.
we grow up as well. So I just wonder, in your case, yeah, was it just that this eagerness to just do your own stuff? I don't feel like everyone has that naturally. I think that's cultivated.
I always wanted to have my own time, set my own time. I can do whatever I want in my own time. So the flexibility is also a big thing for me, trying to do things on my own. And I guess it's just the freedom, you know? I didn't want to be stuck in a 9 to 5, and I don't think I would be good at that. Yeah.
Just because someone would be telling you what to do.
Yeah, because in my studies, I also did like internships and all that. And I wasn't really quite happy, like doing the little things. Like if you work for someone, like you're doing the little things for them, but you don't see the bigger picture. You don't see where the ship is going. But like if you do your own thing, like you know which way the ship is going, I guess. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in turn, you're just going to be more motivated as well,
Yeah,
you'd
yeah,
presume, because you
yeah,
have an idea and you can also be in charge of that ship
yeah,
as well as
yeah.
know where it's going.
Right.
That's interesting. And you discussed earlier there were the high points, but then also the lower points as well, the ups and downs, right? What were the downs like for you? What was going on there?
Panicking when I didn't have a client and didn't see a clear picture on where it's going, you know, because I started this construction company because because I came from a engineering background, and I thought that was a good opportunity to do, and it was really nice. I mean, we had our own capabilities to do anything that we want, but then also you get sometimes you get clients that know what they want, but they don't see like how it's being built, and dealing with those kind of clients is also a bit hard. That's also part of the,
Part of
dealing
the
with
journey,
clients.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because I guess also if you're starting out, you don't really want to be, you're not really in a position to turn down clients.
Exactly.
So
That's
you
the
just have to
thing.
put up with
Yeah,
that
yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then mentally, then did any of this sort of get to you, or were you always like, okay, this is shit, but I know that we'll get out of this?
I think I always knew that there was always going to be pros and cons to anything. Even like working 9 to 5, there's always pros and there's always cons. And I just saw that, okay, those are the cons if you're doing construction company. Like you gotta deal with the clients, and they want to build their dream home, right? And they come to us, and of course that our job is like to give them what they want, right? And that's also part of the thing that you need to be clear about. Yeah.
Yeah, so being prepared for all the possible problems,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
then also just kind of accepting that it's a business, that's the way it's going to go. It's
Right.
not going to be
Yeah.
perfect all the time.
Exactly. There's always pros and cons. If you make a decision on a thing that you want to do, then you gotta accept the pros and cons. Yeah.
Did that help speed up your decision making as well?
Yes. Yeah.
That could
Yeah.
be super important actually. I feel like there's a tendency, well, even for me, I've noticed it, where you overanalyze and overthink shit, and there's pros and cons. I think just accepting that any decision you make is going to have a downside to it, and there's going to be repercussions. I think that's maybe the way forward.
On decision making, like what you want to do, it needs to come from the heart. Like, are you going to be happy on doing the thing that you're going to be doing? And then comes the pros and cons. And how are you going to handle the pros, and how are you going to handle the cons? That's like part of the decision that's already been made, you know?
I see. So almost envisioning what your future self would think when this shit hits the
Yes.
fan in the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it sounds quite straightforward on paper, but I think in reality we never really do that enough.
It's not easy. It's not easy. Of course, it's not easy, but I think being able to think logically helps a lot. And I guess I've grown up having thought that way. So being logical, you just gotta accept what's coming towards you, and just being able how to deal with it. But of course, like there's always gonna be like feelings like when the cons just hits you, and I guess what I can say is just embrace it for a bit, but just don't get caught up on feeling the downsides. I guess just embrace that it's there, and just keep on moving forward.
I feel like a big part of that comes down to childhood in a way, whether it's directly for our parents or other people, because I'll experience the same quote unquote failure as somebody else, but I can see it for what it is. It's okay, like my first business was gym equipment during the COVID lockdown, right? We started off super well, obviously going through ups and downs, and eventually when we should have stopped the business with a nice return, we decided to keep on going for one more order, and it didn't end up aligning because we were going out of lockdown and demand was going down and our margins were getting squeezed, right?
Right.
So I just see that as a learning experience.
Right.
Money comes and goes,
Right.
you learn from it. However, I feel like some other people would see that and it would actually send them down a spiral, right? And it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I failed. This is my business. This is what's wrong with me. I'm never going to make it. And I feel like a large part of that can come down to, right, what were your foundations? What belief systems did you have? What were you told at school even? Because school, I think, can have a huge impact. So did you feel like you just had a very positive upbringing? Were your parents very supportive? Because it sounds like you've had a very strong mindset cultivated, but correct me if I'm wrong.
I came from a household where my parents started from literally from zero, and they made their way up and through hard work. And I guess, well, from the upbringing is always about doing the hard work and trusting that hard work always pays off, you know? So just trusting in that and just keep moving forward. Like, of course, I've had a lot of failures in my life as well, but like just trusting in the hard work and just having a focus on what you want to achieve, I guess, and always working towards that. I think that's what helps me like bring myself back up when I'm feeling down, you know?
Yeah, and would self-doubt ever creep in? So, for example, yeah, especially in some industries or some businesses, someone might have already walked the path that you're on, and you can seek them for a consultation. They'll be like, okay, you know what? You'll be all right. Just keep on going.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's that reassurance. I wonder if you ever got that, because there could be an argument to be said for, okay, maybe you're working too hard but in the wrong direction. So how do you get a balance between believing in the hard work, which I also believe in, but then also knowing that you're on the right path?
Let's say you have a goal, right? And it's a long-term goal, and then you break it down a little and you confirm it with someone else. Like, is this really the way to go if I want to get here? So you have like your biggest goal and like step by step. And then I guess you can confirm that with yourself, like trusting in it, or like if you need to, then go to a mentor and like ask them like, hey, is this path really right? But then there's always like ways when you can just get off track, like even through those little goals, and
Get too distracted, you mean?
yeah, just
Okay.
get distracted or like getting off path, yeah, maybe getting distracted. But then ask yourself like, all right, is that still your goal, and are you still at the right path? So I guess like every single time you need to reassure yourself like through the small goals, are you getting there or not, you know? So yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But self-doubt, there's always going to be self-doubt, even every single week, I think, you know? But yeah, just I think that's normal, like having self-doubt. I think having self-doubt is like a reassurance that you're not delusional, I guess, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's actually very
Right?
true as well. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think there needs to be probably a sign of a healthy ego as well.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't want to believe everything that you're doing is 100% perfect, because that's impossible. None
That's
of us
impossible.
are perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think just having a tinge of that, and yeah, it kind of keeps you a bit grounded perhaps
yeah.
as well. Okay, and I wonder, do you ever feel some of that now that you're sort of starting another venture? Does that ever creep in?
Self-doubt? Like I said, every single week. Like,
Yeah.
is this gonna be okay? Like, am I gonna get people coming into my restaurant? Like, is this gonna be sustainable? Those kind of questions, like, always comes up. But like, the more that kind of thing comes up and you're aware of it, of the possibilities of failure, then you find out solution for those little things, you know?
Right, yeah. And just always keeping a note of it, and then just doing some research, and it's like a protection
Yeah,
mechanism,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're preparing for failure.
Insurance.
Yeah,
Right.
That's a better way of putting it. Preparing for failure.
Right.
sounds-
Yeah.
Wrong choice of words. What's your why then? Why are you doing this?
The food business? Or
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken about the sort of passion for food, right?
Right, yeah.
Is the ultimate goal, right? Build this into something where, okay, it can be a lifestyle, and I'm just doing my passion every day. Is it a case of I want to provide for family later down the line? Is it just for freedom? What is your big motivator?
I think it's all that. Like, the passion for food comes first, and then like, of course, like if you want to have a family, you gotta have something that can be able to support it. And like in the long run, you would want to have a couple of restaurants just to, keep everything on going. But I think I'm settled on this business or on this line of business that I want to do, because I've been having fun doing it. And yeah, and I can imagine like doing this for the rest of my life, and yeah, then like those kind of questions, like, is this going to be able to support the family that I'm going to have in the future? Those kind of questions, you stop and think about it and just find solutions for those kind of things, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm still sure that that's what I want to do.
I think there's something about that mindset as well, just knowing, okay, cool, whatever happens, there's a solution for it. And again, it's a change of mindset. It's not even, it's just a belief. Like,
It's a
it's like
belief.
there
Yeah.
is, yeah, and that's so important. And I wonder if you had any insight into how people can sort of cultivate that themselves, because I think a lot of people, they might think that idea is just, they might not even comprehend that, right? In their mind, it's like, oh, fuck, this shit has happened. What do we do? And there's this panic. So how can people?
I think that comes from failure, I think. Because there's a couple of failures that I've had, and like just being playing the victim of failure is so easy, you know? Like, and but that doesn't bring you anywhere, it doesn't bring you forward. And I've been doing that earlier in my life, like playing the victim of failure, but then I realized like, yeah, that doesn't bring me anywhere. That doesn't
Keeps
bring
you
me what.
stuck.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm stuck, and what am I supposed to do? If you're not gonna do it yourself, then who else is gonna do it? You know. So I guess it came from that, and just like moving forward every single day, little by little. I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, just not focusing on the end goal, right? Like for you,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
enjoying this
Yeah.
restaurant
Yeah.
biz every single day you're
Yeah.
working on it.
Yeah. Like keeping the end goal like in the back of your head, but just like focusing on the little things, just making sure like you're going forward every single day. I think that's a healthier way of thinking about it. Because
Yeah.
if you think about your end goal and like, oh man, like you're so far away from your end goal, like right, and I think that brings you down a lot. And what helped me was like just like keeping a score on those little goals. And I think that's an easier way to think about it. That's a more more human way of thinking about it, because like you can't just skip to the good part, right?
Oh, of course not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and even
Yeah.
if you did, if someone gave you a magic machine, it was like, Dion, taking this machine and we can go straight to your restaurant and it's doing this, you'd go into that situation and you'd be unprepared because
No,
you're like,
I wouldn't know what to do with it. I'm
yeah,
like, oh, okay, I'm here now. I bet I'd fail. You know, like getting me like a big thing, getting straight to the end goal. I wouldn't know what to do with it. You
yeah,
know.
yeah, and it's all these experiences in the past that sort of shapes you as well. I think that's such a great way to view
Yeah.
failure as well. Just be like, okay, great, like this is going to add to my mindset, and all these experiences will shape who you are. It will build that resilience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something I think that's super important. So I think the message for people there, based on your story so far, is like, try shit out, and if you fail, fantastic.
Yeah.
Get up and keep going.
I think failing is healthy, because I have a close family member that we were just talking and said like, oh man, like everything just went well for me. Like I got into this school, I got into this job, like I've never had any failure. But that person was also scared like, yeah, what if someday like it was gonna be a big failure, and like how am I gonna handle that? You know. So I guess like little failures, I think it's healthy. It's a healthy way to grow.
I think so, and I
Yeah.
think it's necessary. You can apply it to any part, right?
Yeah.
For you mentioned you've had quite a few failures, and it is through those experiences that you're better equipped. So when your dream business comes along, you now have got the tools to be able to deal with that.
Right.
And hey, I believe it's going to work out. You believe it's going to work out. But even if it doesn't, then you've still got that learning experience to go and try something else. And
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
it's all part of the journey, and whatever happens, this is just a perspective. I think that was what was meant for you, right? And it also shapes up who we're going to become. I think that's an important one to remember. I wonder as well, another another example of that is with relationships as well. We've looked at the business example, but with relationships, it's very easy for people, I think, to reflect on relationships, and suddenly the whole world comes crashing down because, I don't know, they split with their girlfriends who they thought they were going to be with the rest of their life. And I also think in that situation you can see, okay, this didn't work out, but I think having that mindset of figuring out, okay, why didn't that work out, and
Learning from it.
Yeah. And then rather than sort of attaching blame to the other person, or in your case the economy or whatever it may be, actually thinking, right, how could I improve on this for next time? And then when the right one comes along, when the right woman comes along who is meant for you, you're actually prepared because you've actually done the work and you've learned from your previous experiences.
Exactly.
As well.
Yeah.
I wonder, in your case, has that ever been, because you come across very driven, and I can see it now, you're working very hard on the business, which just meant you can't come to poker anymore, which is, I'm devastated by it.
I will come.
I hope so, man. You're missed.
I need to take your money back.
It's too it's too tense, man. Everyone's very serious now. Yeah. We need a bit of Dion just to go all in. But on that note, I wonder, have you had to trade off anything because of your commitment to this new venture, whether it's potential relationships or whether it's sleep? Have you sacrificed anything as of yet?
Yes. Time for relationship was definitely a big hindrance on my last relationship. And well, I guess not just that, but just like I've had a thing that I thought, I'm just gonna focus on one thing because that would be able to provide for a family that I wanted, right? But then neglecting the presence. I think that was also something that I learned.
It's something I've seen. I think it's a common problem with a lot of men here.
Yeah.
I speak to them and they say, yeah, man, I'm struggling because my mentality is I'm working hard on this business because I'm building for our future. But then, of course, you can see it from the female side. They're like, well, how long is this going to be? And if you're not meeting my emotional needs,
then it's not going to work out, and that's definitely fair, right? And that's also where I need to learn on dividing myself, and maybe not dividing myself on too many things. Then I would just spread myself too thinly, right? So just focusing on a couple of things, and if it's a relationship for you, then you need to focus on that, because you can't just focus on the future and not looking at the present,
Yeah, I mean, ideally you'd like to find a balance, right, where you are able to do the two. I know the solution this guy gave, he just said, being very strict with time boxing as well. So unless there's something which absolutely has to be done because your business depends on it, then fine, it might eat into your personal time in a relationship, but then everything else, if you don't get certain things done, let's say you got 4 things to do that day, there'll probably be more, but let's say 4 things, you allocate a certain amount of time to each one, whether it's 2 hours, 1.5, 3, whatever it is. And then if you don't get that shit done, you just move it on to the next day.
Next one.
That way it's...
Yeah, but I'm not really good with time boxes. But there's always signs, Like if you have like a relationship and a relationship with yourself and then your business, right? And if something is lacking, there would be signs, Like if there's something that's lacking on the relationship, there would be signs. And if there's like, you don't take care of yourself, your me time, your health, mental health, physical health, there would be signs. And if there's like, you're not putting enough work on your business, there would be signs. I guess that's how I work. I look at the signs.
And then allocate more time to one thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I guess just being able to be more sensitive about the signs. Because it's there. It's always going to be there.
I wonder if sometimes we purposely, our subconscious almost blocks it out because we don't want to.
Yeah. You just don't want to look at the signs because you're trying to focus on one thing.
Like, everything's good. Yeah, it's fine. My relationship doesn't need work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's just a human tendency.
Yeah, I guess so. But just being able just to reflect and be more sensitive about your surroundings, I guess.
That's a good idea. It's come up on this podcast a couple of times. This idea on just reflecting, whether it's every 2 weeks or so. Okay, where am I in all these areas of my life?
Yeah,
Of,
yeah.
You know, whether it's a scale of 1 to 10, okay, what needs work? And actually having that awareness, I think, is pretty important.
Yeah, keeping track every 2 weeks is healthy too. And just looking back at what you did those past 2 weeks or past month, however long you want to set it, I guess that's a good way of doing about it. Yeah.
What's your plan now then? Is it solely the business? Because this is your baby, you know, this is the.
It is. Yeah.
So if you, I guess there's little to no time for a relationship or anything like that at the moment, or
Not healthily, I guess. You know what I mean? But yeah, once that the work stress or the workload has decreased a bit, then I could focus on that and focus on myself too. You know, because I love like going on tour, like riding bikes around Indonesia or around Bali, whenever I have time, and I haven't done that in a while, and I would love to do that again.
what was
Yeah.
that again? We're just riding bikes.
Yeah, yeah, just riding bikes, touring across Indonesia or across Bali, because I did that a lot with my friends before the pandemic. Every year we had like 3 or almost like a week, and just riding around Indonesia and just
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, and yeah, just seeing where you are on your path, your business path, and in my case, like I have a lot of workload, and just like focusing on one thing, and
On one aspect of
on
your
one
work.
aspect of those 3 things that I just said, and
I
if
see.
there's less workload on the business, then I can start on focusing on other things.
Okay, you mentioned the aspects of yourself as well.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Is there some aspects now to yourself you're not really giving enough time to? Is it health or is it more enjoyment? Like you mentioned the bikes there.
I guess I don't have a lot of free time. I can't just go travel to Thailand or Vietnam, or just like having a vacation. I guess that's lacking on that. But I'm content on what I'm doing, and I know like how long this thing is going until I can focus on myself. So yeah, that's going back to the pros and cons. Like this is what you want to do, and it needs to be done by a time frame. Then after that time frame, then you can focus on other things.
Okay, so
Yeah.
would your plan be to eventually get someone else to manage the restaurant?
Right. Yeah. Just to let them run it and
Okay.
trust them to run it.
That's gonna
That's
be
a
a big
bit hard,
process.
but yeah, that's one thing
Right.
that I'm trying to do.
Because then that way you'd still have your restaurant, but then you'd also be able
Right,
to focus on
right,
yourself.
yeah.
Okay, I was going to dig deeper into that because,
All right.
yeah, because you are building this restaurant,
Yeah.
but then you also want the time. But I guess that will come back.
Yeah.
You know, I think once you've got everything up and running and you've built
Mm-hmm.
that trust with someone, again, that might be a tricky process.
It
for
is.
especially if
It
it's
will
your,
be. Yeah.
if it's your baby. Yeah, man, that's super exciting.
Yeah.
When's it opening?
Oh, I can't say yet.
Oh, okay.
I
You don't
can't
know.
say yet. No.
But
But it will be soon. It will be soon. But yeah, still doing pop-ups in La Brisa, so that's still going on, and the restaurant is still being built, and then there's another villa that's also being built
Okay.
Yeah.
And the pop up is every
every Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay. Just in the Brisa, so
In La
just
Brisa Sunday Market from I think it's 10 to 4 o'clock,
10 till 4.
but we usually sell out at like 2.
You're always selling out.
Yeah.
Why haven't you got more stock yet, man?
Exactly.
happening?
It's sold out. You need to come to La Brisa and check me out, man.
Yeah,
That's why I
but-
can't do poker, But yeah.
You need to get more stock. Otherwise, how's everyone going to?
Yeah. We're working on that because, like I said, workload. I can't add the workload right now.
I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
you're already at.
Because even in the business, like in building the restaurant, I still need to run the Sunday market, and then the restaurant is still being built. So there's a lot of things that's still going on in the business area.
Have you delegated a lot of work yet? Or?
Right now, not yet, but
Really?
I still need to do that. But yeah, because I'm still new here. I had like 2 years in Bali. It's not really a long time to be like building stuff. So yeah, I haven't found the right people to delegate all this stuff to, I guess.
I see. You're still sort of building connections in that
Yeah,
area and
yeah,
that type of thing.
yeah.
Yeah, well, we've already discussed how important that's been for you in the past, just
Hmm.
sort of leveraging
Hmm.
your connections. I think that's the key. How are you going to go about doing that? Because I feel like a lot of people want to find more connections, whether it's in business and that type of thing. Have you got like a game plan for that yet, or?
On meeting new people, or
Yeah. Well, even if it's, of course, there's sort of the friendly side as well, but then
yeah.
even just in a business setting, how do you go out and find those connections?
I guess like meeting new people through the contacts that I have, and ask them if they have connections on what I needed at the time. So that's how I've been doing it anyway. Because I haven't had a lot of when I went to Bali, like I didn't have any friends, and I just went back. I just went to Bali, and but just started connecting through like poker or like music events or something like that, and just getting to know people, and then I guess just living your life, I guess, and having that in the back of your mind, like you know what you want and how to get there, and if you start talking to people and they have, the same mindset or the same goals, and you can share about that, you can ask them about that. I guess that's how I've been doing it.
Yeah, because it's just always there, and you're going out, and naturally your thing is going to be like your mind's going to be like looking for that opportunity
Mm.
in the back of your mind. That's why I think manifestation is actually a big thing,
Yeah.
because your brain, you're programming your brain to search for those things.
Right.
So if your brain isn't there, then you probably wouldn't have found this opportunity or asked someone about it. And I genuinely believe in that, the magic of that. In your case, yeah, I think it's just like you said, going out meeting people, and then I think just again it comes naturally to you.
Mm.
It seems. I think for a lot of people they might hold back, but if
Yeah.
you want something, you've got to go out and fucking look
Get
for it
it.
and ask people
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
talk to people. And again, I think it's something. I think at first it's probably not as easy, but
Mm.
if you've been working, like you said, we come back to your background where you're forced to meet people, you're forced to find new
Mm.
friends and
Mm.
chase those uncomfortable situations, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't I don't care if you might be embarrassed. Like, what's the worst someone's going to say if you're like you're building something? Oh, mate, please can I? Do you know anyone in this industry? They're going to be
Yeah.
like, Dion, no, go away.
Yeah.
They're not going to say, go away. I can't believe you've disturbed my time. You know,
I haven't had that, but like even if they say that, then what are you gonna do? Just yeah, just move on.
yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think it's just that's the problem. I think when you are too protected
Yeah.
from the outside world,
Yeah.
then the first person who does do that is going to have a big impact on you, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas if you've dealt with rejection your whole
Many
life,
times. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
then you're gonna be used to it, I guess.
I guess rejection is also failure. I guess and being able to deal with that is also a skill.
It's happened in your case. Is there a skill that you've developed simply from
Yeah,
dealing
like
with
like
rejection?
like from failure, and not just playing the victim of failure, but just like getting up and moving forward. I guess that's what I also do. Like being rejected, clients or vendors or whatever it is, just move on. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
but it's also important you move on, but it's after understanding why that's happened,
yeah,
taking in some info.
yeah.
If someone's rejected you because your offering's too expensive or because of this or because of that, you keep a note of it.
Of course.
Doesn't mean it's always right what they've said,
No,
but
no.
you just take a note and just observe it. And yeah, I think being able to detach your ego a bit and just seeing it for what it is, taking a step out. I've found what's helped me recently is if maybe it's an emotion, maybe I'm angry because I haven't slept well or whatever. Sometimes I just imagine seeing myself in the third person. So I'll like imagine watching my body or my face in that situation. That just completely takes the emotions out.
Yeah.
So let's say we're talking now, And I don't know, for some reason it gets heated because you said that you're better at poker than me. Stuff like that.
Exactly.
What I'll do is I'd actually just imagine I'm sat over there or by there where the camera is, and I just imagine watching me. Like that's a perfect because we've got the monitor here, so I
Right.
can see myself now.
Yeah.
I'd imagine I'd see exactly that. I would detach because if you see someone and you just see their body, you can't tell what's going on in their
No.
head.
Yeah.
So when you do that, it's like okay, they're just a being. They're just
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I don't know if that made sense, but
It does. It does. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Just taking yourself out of the equation, I guess, right?
yeah, take your ego out of
Yeah,
it, and you're
yeah.
just a body.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And that's also that could help you looking back at yourself. Like, did I say the right thing or did I say the wrong thing? Like, what could have I done better in this situation? You know,
yes,
because sometimes you just don't want to see that you messed up. You know what I mean?
that's very true. 'Cause
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and that's why I like the sales positions that I did do, even though I wouldn't do them now because I'm on my own journey. I feel like they did have their place because it does teach you to be like, okay, instead of running away from it and being like, okay, I don't want to,
Yeah.
let's forget that
Yeah,
call,
yeah,
that
yeah.
was horrible. It's like, okay, why did that happen? Okay, it's because my opener was a bit shit. All right, well, we can change the opener. When they asked me this, I faltered. Okay, and then it's just analyzing your performance and taking the ego out of it.
exactly.
So important. And that's, yeah, I think that's clearly been a number of the reasons you've been successful so far, and you've managed to sort of travel through these ups and downs.
Yeah.
Again, it's like a mindset thing, and I do think that can be cultivated, right?
It is. It is. Yeah. Yeah. It just got me thinking. Sales is a hard thing to do, man. Like being in sales, if you wanna learn how to grow and not have an ego, do sales, man. It's a like you have a target on selling stuff, and then sometimes it just doesn't work out, and then you get to learn on what you need to do because it's like you connect directly to your customers, I guess. And yeah, I mean that's a good way to learn about ego as well.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think you're dead right. And just building up that resilience and that rejection
Yeah.
handling as well. That's why I think, even if you don't want to go into a sales role, just you see those guys who are trying to get people into their shitty nightclubs. Like
Promotions, yeah,
Yeah, promoters. I
yeah.
did that. I did that at uni. I was a
shit,
promoter
yeah,
for an
yeah.
event called Pom Pom at the University of Oxford. Even the name,
Yeah.
Pom Pom. And every time someone said,
Right.
"Oh, what night are you promoting Pom Pom?" They're like, "Oh, mate, come on." And then you have to force yourself to like think of a way to sell it. So
Yeah,
everyone
yeah,
used to
yeah.
go to the student nights on the Wednesday, but no one would go to the ones on the Thursday.
Right,
Because that was
right.
associated with locals and
Okay.
the other university,
Yeah.
Nottingham Trent, and that was just the associations that were made, right? But then you have to be like, right, how am I actually going to get people to this
Right.
event? So there's also, it's not just teaching you, right, okay, take rejections and take people ignoring you and laughing in your face and that type of stuff, but it also teaches you, right, how can I actually present this better?
Better,
And yeah, now you can sort of, sell an offering. So my argument would be, oh, well, did you know the DJ is actually the same as Crisis, the student night?
Yeah.
Which was actually true. But I would say that, and they'd get thinking. And then, you'd have to, as a uni student, so if it's
Right.
a bunch of guys,
Right.
to say, oh, yeah, man, have you seen the ratio of girls to boys there? It's pretty crazy. It's...
Even though it's not. Yeah. Yeah, but it's like you got to know who you're dealing with and what they want.
That's
know what I
another
mean?
thing. Not
Yeah.
everyone's going to want the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're selling a restaurant, some people might be enticed by the location. Other
Yeah.
people might be enticed by the fucking barbecue.
Exactly. Like, if you sell a pen, right? Like, everyone has a pen, but everyone's different. How are you going to sell a pen to, I don't know, right? Are you going to try this out?
Sell me this pen.
No. I thought you were going to try to sell me that pen. I know that trick. But yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, you just got to know who you're dealing with and just like reading the room, trying to read people, and I guess through the ups and downs, through the failures, then you get to learn about how to deal with people and just like a better judge of character, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another thing. as well, which serves its purpose,
Yeah, in business and dating.
business and dating,
Right,
just judging people. But then, I mean, that's a whole other topic of conversation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's like, well, how far should you judge people? Like, if our brain tries to make sense of the world, if we go into a new situation, our brain will automatically judge people. That's just in our nature. Because if we don't know what's going on, then that's fear. It's like, oh, it's the unexpected. Whereas if we just apply existing pre-assumptions about stuff, then that's going to protect us. So I think there is something to be said about that as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's again, but I think I'd rather be able to judge a character. Of course, there's times where you're going to cut someone a bit of slack, right?
But how far?
But yeah, and that's just working out your own personal
Yeah. Yeah.
boundaries as well with business,
Exactly.
and who you're going to be spending your time with, and
Yeah. Boundaries. Boundaries is also important. Like, yeah. Like judging a character, if it crosses your boundaries, even in business, like you don't think they're the right fit to build a business together with, then you gotta cut that out. Because if you're in the business with the wrong person, then you're stuck in a business where you need to profit from that business, but also maintain a good connection with that person. I think that's really hard.
how do you be assertive then? How do you get your boundaries across while also keeping the respect there and keeping it amicable?
I guess being able to ask the right questions and knowing where your boundaries is, and throughout the time, like throughout dealing with different people, and like what kind of questions that you want to ask. Like through failure dealing with people, you get to learn like, oh, I should have asked this question. I should have been more clear about this thing. And through meeting people and dealing with them, I guess those kind of questions and learning about your boundaries comes up somehow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think that's just so important. Taking responsibility and thinking, right, how could I have handled this differently? What could I be prevented?
Yeah.
And again, it's about taking that fucking ego out.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, by taking this out, right, what could I have done to prevent these type of people coming into my life?
Right.
That's super important. We've covered a lot of ground, which
Yes.
is awesome. Really, really cool. I think, man, I love your mindset. I think there's so
thank you, man.
so
Thank
many gems in there
Yeah.
as well. Really, really cool. And we could keep on having a laugh for a long time, but got to wrap it up at some point.
All right. Yeah. Sure.
Quick one before we sign off.
Yeah.
As always, asking the guest for a song suggestion or their favorite song at the moment.
Oh, song suggestion. I've been listening to a lot of country music, like new country. A good song is Zach Bryan's "Something in the Orange." You know
That's
that
really
one?
funny. Yeah, it's really funny. I think someone recommended that
Oh, really?
the other day because I put an
Okay.
Instagram story up of
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
right, what's
yeah.
your favorite song? And someone
Yeah,
actually,
yeah, yeah.
that's funny. That's and you're the first non-Irish person to recommend a country song. How do you feel?
Okay. Yeah, it says something, huh?
Yeah, because I mean it makes sense, right? You've been in all these different places. So
Yeah,
I was actually
yeah.
quite intrigued to see. Would you have adopted some techno from Germany or some chart stuff from the US? Or...
I can't listen to techno, man. I'm sorry, man.
Oh,
But
man. We'll go on a night out.
sorry.
Well, I was going to say we'll go on a techno night out. but
Yeah.
I don't think you have enough time. So,
Yeah.
you can't even get you to poker. So. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, man. This has been so much fun. Where can
Thank you.
people follow you or keep up to date with what's going on with the restaurant?
Yeah, I guess the restaurant name is Big Brown's Barbecue. Instagram is bigbrowns.bali. That's it.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the updates, man.
Hey, thank you for having me, man. Yeah.
Absolute pleasure.
We'll do
Absolute
this
pleasure.
back soon, huh?
Yeah, we'll roll
All
it
right.
back.